Solve z squared over 6 minus 5z over 2 minus 9 equals to 0. All right, so this example, we have what we want, meaning that the equation is equal to 0. That's what we want. So we don't have to shift anything over so to make this equation or to write this equation in standard form. But what we do have to do here is I want to solve this equation, but I don't want fractions here. So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply all terms on both sides by the LCD of 6 and 2. And the least common denominator for 6 and 2 would be 6. So we're going to multiply 6 to every term on both sides. So what's going to happen here? The first term, the sixes are going to divide out. We're left with z squared minus, let's look at the second term. Well, 2 divides into 6. 3 times 5z. We have 15z minus, what is 9 times 6? That would be what again? 54 equals to 0 times 6, which is 0. Now, we're solving this equation by factoring. This is a quadratic equation. That's what we're doing. So, let's take the z squared minus 15z minus 54 and let's factor. There is no GCF. We have 3 terms. It is not a perfect square. We're going to use the X puzzle because there is no number in front of this z squared here. Okay, so we're looking for factors of negative 54. And then when we add those factors, it would give us negative 15. What do you think those factors are? Okay, so factors of 54, we can keep going. We can do 1 and 54. Let's do 2 into 54. 2 and 27. 3 goes into 54 18 times. You know, this is how we would just go and divide out. We know 4 cannot go into it. 5 definitely cannot go into 54, divide into 54, but 6 can, 6 times 9. Okay, so which one of these? We want 15. Would give us, now think of your sign rules, because the sign of the last term here is a negative, so we're going to have different signs, meaning one is going to be positive, one is going to be negative. So we definitely cannot use the 6 and 9, because if we have different signs, that would not give us the 15, the negative 15 that's needed. So we're going to have to use the 3 and 8. What go 3, excuse me, 3 and 18. So what goes into, it's not what goes into, but 3 goes to which sign, the positive or the negative? The 18 goes to which sign, the positive or the negative? The 3 would go to the positive, the 18 would go to the negative. Okay, so then write out your variables. We have plus 3 and minus 18. So we're going to take those factors that we found, and we're going to set each of those factors equal to 0. by using the zero product property. Okay, therefore z plus 3 equals a 0. We're going to subtract 3 to both sides. We have z is equal to negative 3. Z minus 18 is equal to 0. We're going to add 18 to both sides. We have z is equal to 18. That is your solution. One more example. We have here y squared plus 1/4 is equal to negative y. We want this equation to be written in standard form. We want it equal to 0. Well, here is equal to negative y. That's not what we want. Okay, so what we're going to do, number one, let's get rid of the fraction first. Okay, and then we'll move over the terms that's needed. So we're going to take the denominator of 4 and we're going to multiply it to each term on both sides of the equation. So then what we have here, first term will be 4y squared. The second term, the 4's are going to divide out and we're left with just 1 equals to negative y times 4. We have negative 4y. Now write the equation in standard form. By adding 4y to both sides. So we have 4y squared plus 4y plus 1 equals to 0. Then we're going to look at the left-hand side. We want to factor that. All right, so here we go. Is there GCF? No. How many terms? 3. Is this trinomial a perfect square trinomial? And remember, I told you to determine if it's whenever a trinomial is a perfect square, look at the first and last terms. Because if you can find two identical factors that would give you 4y squared and two identical factors that would give you 1, then it's a perfect square. So yes, this is a perfect square trinomial. So the signs are going to be the same. Break down the first term. What times what would give us 4y squared? 2y, 2y. Break down the last term. What would give us the 1? 1 and 1. So we're going to set each of these factors equal to 0. Notice that both of these factors repeat. In the event that you have a question like this where the factors repeat, you only need to write it once. Okay, because you're going to have the same answer. So we don't have to write 2y plus 1 equals 0 and then write it again. Just write it once, solve for y. We're going to subtract 1 to both sides. We have 2y is equal to negative 1. Then we're going to divide by negative 2. And we have y is equal to negative 1/2 as our solution. There we go.